Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight, inshallah, we are continuing on from our classes in the Medina Arabic Course Book 1. We are on page 29. It's so coincidental since we were in the WhatsApp classes. We just did page, what was it, page 30 this morning. So, or 28. So, we somehow managed to surpass the, I know, we were on a different page altogether. Okay, but anyway, it all looks the same. So without further delay, let's begin. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. So we are doing this lesson over here, which started all the way back on page 27, which was the fifth lesson as far as the book is concerned. But this tonight, inshallah, is our 13th lesson. So the same lesson which we were dealing with, as you can see from the beginning, Kitabu Muhammadin, Kitabu Hamidin, Kitabu Muhammadin. We were dealing with that, still using the mudaf and mudaf ilayh, putting it practically into use and making questions and stuff like that with it. That's what we were doing. The exercises followed the suit and so on and so forth. And that's essentially where we are continuing on from tonight. So starting from the top of page 29, as always, I'll always mention, if anybody wants to do any of the exercises, any of the sentences, and give the answer at any point in time before I reach there, no problem, you're more than welcome to do so. If you don't, I'll do the thing at the end of the day. Both ways work out, but I mean, you don't have to wait for me to actually reach that part of the lesson before you give the answer. But in any case, I will start from the top just so that we can have a bit of a recap what we are doing. Okay, let's see. Okay, one answer already came in. Al-Ka'batu Baytullahi. That's correct. Baytullahi. That's the crux of what the lesson is about, to make certain that that last haraka is on the word, so that you know that Baytullahi shows you, if you are going to say Al-Ka'batu Baytullah, for example, the person who's listening don't know the extent of your knowledge because you put a sakin on the end. Even though in speech we would say Al-Ka'bah to Baytullah, but when you are, and you speaking in a sentence, let's say Al-Ka'bah to Baytullah fil Makkah, for example. Let's assume you put it fi Makkah al-Mukarramah, for example, you put it that way. You made it part of a whole sentence. But then you said Baytullah instead of Baytullahi because you were continuing on. It passes for Arabic in modern circles, but from a Fusha perspective, classical, eloquent Arabic, it falls short because the person, they know, if a person is a one of knowledge, he'll know you don't know what you're talking. If a person don't know, he'll be like, sure, what's the harm? What harm have you done? So the point is, when you put your harakat on the endings, it shows that you have understanding of your grammar. Thus, you are able to put the harakat in the correct places. That is what it boils down to in a nutshell. So Al-Ka'batu Baytullahi was 100% the correct answer. Then you move on to the next one, and he says, yeah, Muhammadun, and he leaves out the harakat of basically everything else, which is Muhammadun sallallahu alayhi wa sallama Rasulullahi. Long one, but essentially the same thing is carrying on. Muhammadun Sallah, obviously that a ya that is on there, the ya which has no dots, meaning it gives the ah sound, so it will always only ever have an ah sound. So you can't say, mudaf ilayh. I mean, even if we apply those rules, it can't change that ah, because Sallah will always be Sallah. Okay, that's the answer for the next one. So let me continue what I'm saying here. Sallallahu alayhi, which is now ala, and who alayhi, ala on who, he meaning he, alayhi upon him, wasallama, this, okay, you learn that as we go further in Arabic, so I'm not going to jump the gun with that one. But then we come to the point which is Rasulu Allahi, Rasulullahi. So Muhammadun sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the messenger of Allah. And the answer was given for the next one, which is خرج المدرس من غرفة المدير. That's 100%. خرج المدرس من غرفة المدير. The teacher exited from the principal's room. Perfect. The next one is هذا بيت حامد وذلك بيت خالد. Okay, answer was given already. هذا بيت حامد وذلك بيت خالد. 100% correct. This is Hamid's house and that is Khalid's house. Now, there was a question. It came so somebody sent me this morning after doing the WhatsApp Arabic class, and then somebody sent me a question with regards to Arabic, and I noticed he was not actually not in the Arabic group, but the question was like related to the lesson anyway. So it's coming from the point of here. Ibn Ammarin talibun wa ibn Yasirin tajirun. The Ibn Ammarin, he's starting a sentence out with an alif and he's got a squiggly thing on top. The squiggly thing, like I mentioned this morning in the other class, is that the squiggly thing stands for the fact that this is a Hamzatul Wasl. It is a Hamza that you join over. Obviously, when you are beginning a sentence, you would give it a kasra. So Ibn Ammarin. But had it been in the middle of a sentence, like in the case of wa ibnu Yasirin, we would join over the squiggly and call it wabnu Yasirin, as being more fluent and eloquent in doing so. So Ibn Ammarin talibun wabnu Yasirin tajirun. The son of Ammar is a student and the son of Yasir is a merchant. 100% correct. So yeah, so well, the question basically was with regards to the Hamza that sits on top of the Alif. And you may have come across this many times yourself. Here we have one right here, as in the word Aina, the Hamza which sits on top. When a Hamza sits on top, and I did touch on this point before in the class, which is that when a Hamza sits on top of an Alif, it comes for two things, a Fatha or a Dhamma. When it sits under an Alif, it only denotes a Kasra. Can never be read in any other way. But that tells you that when you have a Hamza on top of an Alif, it tells you that this is an original Alif and it will never fall away. So let's say, for example, you were a squiggly one, you will join over, but you can never join over one which has a Hamza on top. So when you're talking about a sentence, for example, names, Usama, and so on and so forth, where the name has got that Hamza on the Alif, you know there's no way you can read over that alif. That hamza comes to show you that it is a hamzatul fasl. It is a freestanding hamza which does not join to anything. He is he don't want to. He's a recluse. He doesn't want to join with other people. So that's the Hamzatul Fasl versus the Hamzatul Wasl over here, who's a hugger and wants to hug everybody. So Ibn Ammarin Talibun, Wabnu Yasirin Tajirun. Ammar's student, Ammar's son is a student, and Yasir's son is a merchant or a businessman or a trader, or whatever term you prefer to use it. Okay, the next answer was given, which is Baytul Mudarrisi Ba'idun wa Baytu Tajir. No, not wa Baytu Tajiru Qaribun, wa Baytu Tajiri. Second time over the the second time, because again, regardless of how many mudaf ilayhis you will come across, the same rule will always apply. So Baytul Mudarrisi, Baytu Tajiri. And this is, I would some people may call it nitpicking, but from a transliteration perspective, I would put mudarrisi as being mudarris, S-I, not double E. For the reason is, if you say mudarrisi, and I were to read it in Arabic, in transliteration like this, and I were to write it in Arabic, I would have written mudarris with a ya on the end, hence giving the e sound. So mudarrisi, my teacher, as opposed to mudarrisi. So you know the distinction between a kasra and the pull that the ya brings with it. But anyway, different people have their transliteration systems, but that's the way that I would have transliterated it, was as being Mudarrisi in that manner. But anyway, بيت المدرس بعيد وبيت التاجر قريب 100%. The teacher's house is far and the trader's house is near. The next one we move on to is number 9. هذا مفتاح السيارة. أين مفتاح البيت? As you can see, it's this book. What is nice about it is the fact that it gives you excessive practice with regards to the lessons that we are learning. هذا مفتاح السيارة أين مفتاح البيت? Very good. So the point is to give you excessive exercise. The more exercise you do, the more it sticks in your subconscious, the more it becomes second nature for you. But certain books don't delve that much into exercises. There'll be a lot of theory, a little bit of exercise, and move on. And it relies upon you to put in the effort to do a lot of revision. But if you're not doing it, you fall back and you fall short and you start suffering. But yes, with this book here, when you have 20 something exercise words of aid which help you over and over and over to establish the fact that this is how the way it works. So coming back, هذا مفتاح السيارة أين مفتاح البيت? This is the key of the car. Where is the key of the house? Very good. Okay, next one is number 10. من أنت يا ولد? من أنت يا ولد? أنا ابن عباس. أنا ابن عباس. أنا ابن عباس. من أنت يا ولد? Who are you, oh boy? Okay, yeah, no, the translation as Walid would be incorrect, and the boy would be the correct answer. Who are you? Ya waladu. The waladu, boy, walidu, the father. So, and of course, Walid is an actual name. Khalid ibn al-Walid. Some people say Walid, but yeah, that's a mistake. But any case, so Man anta ya waladu? Who are you, oh boy? Here comes a boy along. You don't know who he is. You ask him to introduce himself. Man anta ya waladu? Who are you, oh boy? And he says, Ana ibn Abbasin. I am Abbas's son. And you say he's coming with a friend. So wabnu man huwa? Wabnu man huwa? And whose son is he? And Abbas's son now replies by saying, Wabnu Khalidin. He is Khalid's son. So I'm Abbas's son and he is Khalid's son. Okay, that's number 11. Now we move on to number 12, which is Aina Masjidu Rasulillahi Masjidu Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallama. Huwa fil Madinatil Munawwarati. So here you have Aina, which is where. Translated, where is the Masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam? It is in Madinatul Munawwara. That's the translation. So why is it Masjid Rasulillahi? Because mudaf ilay. So Rasuli, the masjid is attributed to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the messenger of who? Of Allah. So it is mudaf to mudaf ilay, and mudaf ilay. When you in a madrasa perspective and you are doing what is known, what we know in the madrasas as tarkib, then you have your mudaf and mudaf ilay, which is also mudaf. What else? He's mudaf ilay, say milkar, and you break down the tarkib in that manner. So masjidu is mudaf, Rasuli is mudaf ilay, and mudaf at the same time, and Allah is mudaf ilay. So mudaf with mudaf ilay, mudaf and mudaf ilay, they join together. So because Rasul is mudaf ilay, therefore there's a kasra. And because Rasul is being attributed to Allah, therefore Allah has a kasra as well. So Aina Masjidu Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallama huwa fil Madinatil Munawwarati. Okay, number 13. Bintu Hamidin fil madrasati wa bintu Muhammadin fil jami'ati. That Hamid's daughter is in school and Muhammad's daughter is in university. I'm translating it in the way that it's used. Otherwise, we would say Hamid's daughter is in madrasa and the other one is in, you can say as in madrasa, like we understand madrasa, and the like they call it Jami'atul Azhar, the Al Azhar University, or Medina University. They call it, so the word Jamia is used in that way. But your regular Western university is used for the same word is used for it too. So if you want to translate it in that way, a school and a university, so be it. But when we talk about Darul Ulums and Madaris and Maktabs and stuff like this here, we don't go with Western terminologies. In any case, so that's number 13. Number 14 comes along. Ismul Mudarrisi Sa'idun, Wasmul Muhandisi Khalidun. Here he put it in a better form, which is, despite the fact that ism over here, this alif is a Hamzatul Wasl, so to speak, but because it's coming at the beginning of a sentence, he left the squiggly line out because by now you should already know if there's nothing to be which precedes it, nothing's going to join on to it. So ismul mudarrisi Sa'idun wasmul muhandisi Khalidun. The teacher's name is Sa'id and the engineer's name is Khalid. Okay, the name of the teacher is Sa'id and the name of the engineer is Khalid. Yeah, very good. Okay. Next one, Ammu Talibi Ghaniyun. Number 15, Ammu Talibi Ghaniyun. The paternal uncle of the student is rich. Paternal, not maternal. For paternal and maternal, uncle and aunt, there are different words for each of them. So, Ammu Talibi Ghaniyun. And one point I'll mention here, just for the sake of increasing your knowledge with regards to Arabic speech, is that when a person, like when you want to address someone with, let's put it this way, with respect. So here's an older person who you don't know, and you want to call him uncle. In English, we'll call everybody uncle. Uncle, whether you are a family or not family, whether you are male or female side, anything, it's always just uncle, but not in Arabic. You have and you've got khal. So ammi, khali, like that you would say. So when you are speaking to a strange person, a strange man, and you want to call him uncle, you would use the paternal uncle form, and you would call him ya ammi, like that. You would refer to him in that manner, and not, for example, ya khali. Okay. So that was number 15. Moving on to number 16. Babul masjidi maftuhun wa babul madrasati mughlaqun. The door of the masjid is open and the door of the school is closed or locked, whichever one you prefer to call it. And then here we come to number 17, which is the maternal form now. Khalu Hamidin Faqirun. Hamid's maternal uncle is poor. And the last one for page 29, which is where we will be stopping for tonight, inshallah, which is Sayyaratu Abbasin fi shari'i. Sayyaratu Abbasin fi shari'i. Abbas's car is in the road. Ashari' means the road, the street, and Sayyara, the car. Abbas's car is in the street, in the road. Whatever you prefer to call it, a street or a road or whatever. But basically that's where we go. That's the end of page 29. Yeah, let's stop on this point here. I'd rather next week, inshallah, we can do the whole of page 30, but yeah, we stop on this point here, inshallah. Until next time, we have not received any questions in any way, so therefore we'll stop on this point until next time, or at least until tomorrow, inshallah, for the Hanafi fiqh class. But the Arabic class will be next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. UK time, 9 p.m. South African time. Until then, وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. Okay, before I end off here, was the Arabic WhatsApp group. A couple of years ago, somebody asked if I can teach Arabic. This was before the days of Zoom and all these sort of things. And somebody asked if I can teach Arabic on WhatsApp. And or at least I should say, this has been in the pipeline for probably like about 7 years, where I started joining a WhatsApp Arabic group of somebody else. And when that person shut the group down, there were a lot of people who felt put out of it because they were interested in learning and stuff like this here. Now, all of a sudden, lessons came to an end and all those sort of stuff. And there was nobody else taking up the classes. And this is so old. It's coming back from the days of BBM. That's how long ago this has been. But anyway, so I then created the WhatsApp group for Arabic lessons. And I think I've gone through that Arabic lessons on WhatsApp for so long that I ended up having two groups, a beginners group, and then we went on for a whole year. And then there were more people who joined the next year, so I had to make it an intermediate group and then a beginners group. But because many people fell behind, the intermediate group, so to say, died, and everybody came back into the beginners group. But it's basically the same thing that we are doing here, just in a recorded WhatsApp voice note. That's basically the only difference between the two. And yeah, that one requires people to do written exam, not exams, but exercises, and send it in like that. So if we are looking at a page like this here, if you see number one, كون جملا مفيدة بملء الفراغ فيما يلي, something blank space, البيت مغلق, so you must fill in the blank space like this on your notepad and send it in. So that's what the purpose of the WhatsApp group is. But the this class tends to move a little bit better and faster. We sometimes we do more in this class than what we do in that class. And yeah, because obviously if I'm sending a couple of minutes voice note, sometimes I do a short voice note because I expect whoever's in the class to be able to come up with some of the answers themselves. So yeah, but that's basically it. But anyhow, like I say, that group, I am waiting to see if there are enough people who are actually going to be taking part in the exercises and stuff. Otherwise, since we are almost neck and neck with the classes, maybe I cancel that class out altogether and everybody can join in on this class here on Zoom. But we'll see how it goes, inshallah. But so be it. That's the end then for tonight. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.